Hello everybody, this is Sergey Baklikov, Real Russia channel, 31st of December 2019, the last day of the year. And it means this is the time for my already traditional YouTube rewind, the highlights of 2019. Well, this year I produced 98 full-featured videos, like regular episodes. I think that I could do some better, but still this is not bad considering my videos are not just the talking heads, easy to produce videos. All the videos, films, and fields and have an idea. The videos that make sense. For this reason, I think was made a good job. And now we have a chance to recall all of these moments in my YouTube Rewind 2019. Let's get it started. The New Year's Day in 2019 was the first ever celebrated in St. Petersburg since I moved to the city in 2018. I made it with just my family, my wife and daughter. We went to walk by the streets of Nevsky Prospect. We were going to look at the main fireworks, salutes they do from Peter and Paul Fortress, but got late. It wasn't a big deal though, because we just enjoyed a common atmosphere of the holiday. In Russia, officially, people are on a New Year holiday since January 1st to January 10th or 11th. People have a really long time for rest, and the city of St. Petersburg offers a lot of entertainments and things to do. So, already at the 2nd of January, I went to the Sevkabel, northern cable port, where a former cable factory rebuilt into amazing public space with an ice skating rink, food courts, cafe, restaurants, design market, and concert hall. That day, I have visited the concerts of a great local band called Magicul. The winter is a time for an annual ice sculpture festival in St. Petersburg. It goes at Peter and Paul Fortress, and I went there to look at the scarlet sails of ice and many other sculptures. I got late for New Year's salutes, but came in time for Fire Festival at the 7th of January, which is an Orthodox Christmas for Russians. It was interesting to see the show on the scene at the speed of Vasilyevsky Island and 3D laser show, light show at the facade of St. Petersburg Exchange Market building. Then I had a set of 4 videos from places to eat in a row. Like Stolovy #1 as the cheapest place to eat in the city, so-called geek bar for comics lovers opened by Victoria Kisimyaka. She is a YouTube blogger with over 600,000 subscribers who makes the channel about comics and geek stuff. The bar is still doing well and looks like became a great offline business based on what she's doing online. Then I went to the tea club, which is called Moy Chai. It's Russian for my tea. There I've tried the most expensive tea in my life so far. The tea harvested in 1984 in China with the price of $500 for 100 gram. It's 5,000 for 1 kilogram. And that was a treat from the tea club because I wouldn't buy such an expensive tea myself. Another nice place was Teremok, a huge chain of so-called fast casual restaurants of Russian cuisine. With that fast casual term, they want to say that it's fast to cook food, but not a fast foods. This is the same chain which used to have 2 locations in New York City. In the second half of January, at the baptism of Jesus, I traditionally was dipping my body into the icy holy water. The Jordan was on Neva River next to Peter and Paul Fortress in front of Winter Palace. Most people did this for tempering their bodies, and really, they never catching cold after that. They get an immunity. I can say this by myself too. In January 2019, absolutely unbelievable was the experience of getting knowing a very unusual circus, Uppsala Circus, where all artists are socially disadvantaged kids, those who had a problems with their behavior and even criminal, but they improved through the physical and the creative process of being an artist of circus. Then I introduced you the Russian fishing restaurant where ponds is around. You may catch the fish and that will be your main dish. And this video became the most viewed video for 2019. In the moments when all Russia celebrates only the Victory Day of World War II, which is in Russia known as Great Patriotic War, it happens at the 9th of May. St. Petersburg, which is former Leningrad, also marks the day of the end of siege of Leningrad. It happens at the 27th of January. 27th of January 1944 is the day when the circle of siege of Leningrad was broken by the Soviet Red Army. In the morning I went to military parades at Palace Square of the city, and in the evening there was a 3D light show at the facade of the main headquarters building. The show with the story of the siege of Leningrad, supported by the music of Dmitry Shostakovich, the fragments of his 7th Symphony, and that was epic. In February 2019, I for the first time traveled to the town of Kronstadt, which is in about 30 kilometers northwest from St. Petersburg. Visited one of its forts, Fort Constantine, where made the video about No Ordinary Lighthouse Museum. Then to St. Petersburg came Ronald from Texas. We went to his favorite place in the city, probably one of the most anti-glamorous but significant places, the bar and laundry called Stirka. Stirka 40 degrees. Stirka literally means laundry in Russia, where we were drinking the best local draft beer called Vasily Ostrovskaya Dark. Then we went to the Soviet cafe Kvartirka, made the video called An American and Soviet Cafe. 2,430 rubles, about 37 bucks. You know your country print dollars, so you pay.
No problem, man.
Then I've made the first haircut in 2019 in the barber shop called Model 66 at Vastania Street, and filmed it for you. Well, actually not my haircut, but just a barber shop. In February I also opened another interesting museum for myself and for you, called the Untruth Museum, which is considered by its creator as the museum of alternative history, located in the real former bank storage of the Mutual Credit Society. The dogs, bio-robots, mutant babies in the jars, Chupacabra, and even time machine was there. Then for the first time in my life I've tried a Jewish street food, dishes like pastrami and hummus at Dickman's Deli Place. Founders openly say they were inspired by cuts in New York City. Whoa. Often people asking me about the hotels in St. Petersburg. I went to the one called Sofitel, located right next to St. Isaac's Cathedral, got permission to show the most luxury suite there, where jacuzzi is staying on a corner of two windows, one with a view to the dome of St. Isaac's Cathedral, another to Mariinsky Palace. I'm trying to give a very wide range of things, from a dog shelters in the countryside of St. Petersburg to luxury places, and it's really annoying me when somebody bitching me for showing a high life things, like I sell off myself for it, and it's not real Russia. I think the real Russia is a set of all the things, all the wide range of things that I'm trying to show. This is actually one of the most annoying and unfair things when foreigners associate the real Russia with mostly just a poor, faraway villages and don't even care. Most people live in the cities and towns. Anti-Russian propaganda is still so strong if people consider real Russia as only like uneducated, drunken Ivans living with babushkas in a poor villages.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Cats Republic.
For the first time in my life in 2019, I have found what is Cat's Cafe, the mix of cafe and cat's shelter. That was interesting. In the end of February, I dipped down to the deepest metro station of St. Petersburg called Admiralteyskaya, enjoyed its artworks on a depth of 86 meters, which is 282 feet. Visited Russian restaurant called Yet. It is right next to Winter Palace. Together with my daughter Victoria, we ate beef stroganoff and listened to the live piano music. One of the videos was dedicated to Chizhik-Pyzhik, Pompous Siskin, the smallest monuments in the city of St. Petersburg. The first visit to Ukrop, what means deal, Ukrop Cafe, changed my opinion about vegetarian and vegan food. It is showed that vegetarian food can be tasty. Then we were looking at the old Soviet stuff in the Soviet Lifestyle Museum. At the 9th of March, the World DJ Day, I was spinning the vinyls at the turntables of one of the DJ music schools in St. Petersburg. By Russian tradition, the end of winter, beginning of spring was met with burning Maslenitsa and a fire under the music of Russian composer Rimsky-Korsakov, Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. In 2019, we have visited the Literary Cafe, popular place to eat for such a classical Russians like Pyotr Tchaikovsky and Alexander Pushkin. This year, Victoria got into the vinyl culture with me buying her own turntable.
Cause I'm the taxman. Yeah, taxman.
Definitely one of the most impressive museums visited within a year was the Russian Railway Museum. Wow, it was real huge and technological. Then we walked all the way through Vostania streets, the revolt or uprising streets of the historical city center of St. Petersburg. A few days later, tried an American pizza place called Yum Pizza there at Vostania Street. St. Petersburg is well known for its street musicians. Filmed the video with one of them, Nevsky Band, that's how it's called, and they're covered to the song of another popular, just Russian-wide Zveri band. At the very end of March 2019, when the real spring was coming to the city, I filmed the highlights of it under the music of great Russian composer Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. My delayed for over a year YouTube silver play button has come. It has happened just after I had to address to the supporters, like, hey, I've reached the mark for silver button already more than a year ago. Where is my play button? And they shipped it to me. Then I had an amazing insight to the Russian gem factory, where its masters continue the traditions of famous Russian jewelry master Karl Fabergé. In 2019, we got acknowledged with a brutal Soviet constructivism architecture, looking at the residential buildings they call houses on legs or houses on chicken legs at Vasilievsky Island of St. Petersburg. Tried Italian cuisine in the new trattoria in my neighborhood called La Casa. Another hipster's place we opened for ourselves in 2019 was Etagi Loft Project. The public space, art gallery, market and food court opens in the former building of a dairy factory with minimum of renovations inside. One of spring evenings, we just walk Nevsky Prospect, the main avenue of the historical St. Petersburg, and enjoys all the street musicians there who, like mushrooms after the rain, they all get back to the streets after a winter time. Then I've made two of very detailed and well-filmed videos of the red double-decker rides. I had to take 4 rides to film it with different lens and different angles for you to enjoy the editing, the story and the picture. Important to say that with the support of my channel contributors on Patreon, in April I have started traveling to more places of Russia. Living in St. Petersburg, I have 3 interesting towns where I could get by Lastочка, the Swallow. It's a comfortable and kind of speedy suburban train that goes to places like Novgorod the Great, Pskov and Vyborg, which is almost on the border with Finland. Many Finnish people spread a lot of anger on me after the video of Vyborg, yelling that Russia stole it from Finland. In Vyborg, we have visited Alvar Aalto Library as a great example of so-called Northern modern architecture, also known as Northern Art Nouveau. St. Petersburg is a very beautiful city, and it may seem here is no things to hate, but I found 5 things that's really annoying me. Some people said it was exaggerated. Well, when I show things that I love and enjoy, I'm getting insinuated like propaganda. When I show things I don't like, and you say I'm winning and it's exaggerated. Interesting. In the end of April 2019, I've got DJI Mavic 2 Zoom drone and new Panasonic 818mm lens. Drone was definitely a great purchase and became a great addition for the show. 9th of May is traditionally the Victory Day, and I filmed the Immortal Regiment, where people walked through Nevsky carrying the portraits of their relatives who went through the war but already passed away. After Victory Day was a first big work of drone. The aerial shots led us to see how is Kupchina, a truly Soviet district of St. Petersburg, really look like. You've got a complete imagination and lots of information about Soviet blocks and housing on the example of Kupchina. In the end of May, I've made probably one of the most significant trips of the year to Novgorod Veliky, Novgorod the Great, the town where over 1,000 years ago Russia began. It was the capital of Russia even before Kiev. Russia's getting affected with electronic books, but still St. Petersburg is staying as the most paper book reading city of Russia. So in 2019 I was not able to skip showing you one of the stores of Bukvayets, the largest chain of bookstores in the city. Another video I worked really hard was a full detailed boat trip over the rivers and canals of the historical St. Petersburg. Made 3 trips and aerial shots for you to enjoy the rides. That third significant for Russian history city I was able to visit by the Swallow suburban train from St. Petersburg was Pskov. Great old Russian town with its old Kremlin located on the intersection of 2 rivers, Pskova and Velikaya. As a Novgorod the Great, Pskov was also the Republic of Russia. But in June 2019, I already as a guest came to visit my hometown of Ufa, the capital of the Republic of Bashkortostan of Russia, to visit my parents and all the rest relatives. First place I went to film was a symphony night festival, opera and classical music live by symphonic orchestra on the open-air scene. Then I got to the media conference called Digital Kurultai that went in the Hall of Parliament House of the Republic of Bashkortostan of Russia. The new and relatively young head of the Republic of Bashkortostan and his team showed they are open for any questions from a new digital media and bloggers. As you know, mostly I'm trying to do the videos that make sense, but in June, considering I'm on vacation in my home time, I was just hanging on and filmed the vlogs. Hope you enjoyed a little step aside from the general line of my channel. However, I was not forgetting about regular videos, and one of the videos was dedicated to a detailed story of my motherland neighborhoods where I spent the first 20 years of my life. It's called Zaton, backwaters, in the outskirts of Ufa. Also, together with my family and relatives, I went to Tuktimanovo, the village located in 60 kilometers from Ufa. My parents-in-law, dacha, located there, and we grilled the pork loin and steam and bathhouse there. Being in Ufa, I also dedicated some videos to the Soviets and in particular Stalinist architecture. So you saw the historical movie theater called Motherland, Rodina, and the whole 1950s Stalinist districts of Ufa, with its later Soviet constructivism parts, the district called Chernikovka. I never wanted to stuck just in Ufa for all summer too much, and so in the middle of the summer we also explored a unique Shikhan mountain, which is called Taratau, and a truly Bashkir village called Tash Asti. That was a great example of beautiful nature of the Republic of Bashkortostan. But then I also got a chance to explore a neighbor republic of Tatarstan of Russia, Tatarstan. Its capital, the city of Kazan, the town islands of Sviyazhsk, and the ancient UNESCO defended town of Great Bolgar. Also, there in Tatarstan, I've got invited to visit 5-star hotel and spa resort called Culinary. That's a nice hotel on the bank of Volga River. Thankful to some continuous support of my patrons, in August I've got a chance to make probably the most epic trip of 2019. The trip to the city of Murmansk, which is the biggest northern city of Russia and literally the edge of Russia. A small village of Tereberka, located on the bank of Barents Sea, which is a part of Arctic Ocean. After that, I've made a sudden jump from the north of Russia to the south of country. The town of Astrakhan, which is like Kazan, is also located on the bank of Volga River. Amazing town with its great Volga flavor. I came there to visit an opera in the open-air scene of an Astrakhan Kremlin. And that was another epic moment of 2019 on my channel. Together with the end of opera in Astrakhan, it was the end of the summer. I got back to St. Petersburg and from classical opera got to different atmosphere of Russian funk from magical bands on a scene of hi-hat rooftop. In September, I kind of missed all the cultural and historical stuff of St. Petersburg, and I went to show you Peterhof, the countryside's emperor's summer residence, famous for its fountains and high-speed hydrofoil over the Gulf of Finland. Yet in September, I was invited for an interesting volunteer work to drive and explore all known public water springs of St. Petersburg region. Through a very popular newspaper of Russia, the residents sent GPS points. We were coming there by these points, taking the probes of water and released it to the lab for check. The results were published in the newspapers and on a special site created. In the meantime, I marked interesting places for myself, for further videos to show you. In October, for the third time in 2019, came Ronald from Texas. Together with him, we've made another 2 big trips through St. Petersburg region for you to show. That's sure the road trip by the Road of Life, which is used to connect the cities in the years of World War II, Leningrad and Lake Ladoga, and the smaller towns of region like Sestroretsk, Zelenogorsk, Primorsk, and we've got to Vyborg again. We are the only idiots who came to the beach now. In October, I also tried Russian bakery with French flavor called Volkonsky, opened in St. Petersburg. One idiot told me we Russians are European wannabes, but this dumb even ignored the fact it is a French spouses opened this chain in Moscow, St. Petersburg and Kiev. Also, I hate it when out of the context of 500 of my videos, people are taking only what they want to take and interpret it in a negative way against Russia and Russians. 2019 is definitely turned to be the year of a successful conquering of car sharing in Russia, at least in the big cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, where to have your own car is just not always that comfortable in many ways. Way easier to get a car, drive wherever you need, than leave it and forget. So I told you about car sharing. November began with another interesting place to visit if you want to get a general visual imagination about what Russia is. Grand Maquette is a huge mock-up model of Russia. It's not an exact copy of Russia, but the model which depicts all the most characteral features of different parts of Russia. The most surprising thing of 2019 became an email from Mark Wins, the king of food blogging on YouTube. He said he wants to collaborate and make a video about the Soviet food experience in Russia, and that turns into a real good vlog. I already released mine, but Mark said the buffer of his videos goes for at least 2 months forwards, so his video on his channel must come out already soon.
We're like big chefs for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Another highlight of November was the Heritage Violin Festival for young musicians. Young violinists from Russia and Europe for 10 days were getting masterclasses from world-known violinists and performed in Belozerskih family palace. I enjoyed to see how we still may not worry about a possible shortage of great classical musicians in Russia.
I have the idea that normally people actually have no idea of what the classical musician's life is, what we do, how we live, how we travel and all this shit. Oh, sorry.
Besides car sharing, one more thing which is conquering 2 capitals of Russia in 2019 is the food halls. This year in St. Petersburg was opened 2 big food halls that I showed you in detail: Vasily Ostrovsky Market and Eat Market. Comfortable, well-designed food halls with a huge selection of cooked real-time food. Cultural life is always beats high in the cultural capital of Russia, and in December we've got a unique chance to see an exclusive exhibition of the famous Soviet realism artists Alexander Deineko and Alexander Samokhvalov. Exclusive because over 40 of different owners of the pictures collaborated together to exhibit them all in one place. Another volunteer work I did the last month of this 2019 year was visiting the stray dogs shelter in the countryside of St. Petersburg, but I was disappointed to see it became the less viewed video of the year, especially since this is something what people loves to call real. But oh well. But even bigger disappointment of December was the crash of my drone into the bottom of Fontanga River. Before that, the steal of my camera and lens forgotten in the back seat of a taxi. At the same time, happened the best thing when I've got enough of support from you to cover it all. Wanna say thanks so much again to everybody who contributed. And I finished the year with, in my opinion, 3 great videos of Sheremetyev Palace, also known as the Museum of Music, Russian ice hockey classics at Football Arena of St. Petersburg featuring national teams of Russia and Finland, and an exclusive access to the exact copy of 1712 Poltava battleship projected featuring Peter the Great himself, and was the first ship ever made in a shipyard of St. Petersburg Admiralty. The reincarnation became possible thankful to the means of shipbuilding enthusiasts and the financial power of Russian energy giants. Dudes, but the strangest thing of the year happens definitely today, and it's last day, 31st of December 2019. It's Russia, it's St. Petersburg, northwest region of the country, but here is still not a single snowflake, and even the grass, the lawn, became more green than it was in autumn. It's not bad, it's just strange. Anyway, I wish you all a happy new year, all the best in 2020. See you in a new year. Traditionally, comment, like, subscribe. Stay tuned and keep watching. And now the rain started. And yes, actually, yesterday I've got glasses. The time has come for glasses. Hope you will love it. See you in 2020.